goes deeper than my mind, sees farther than my eyes. Ooh.
My heart hears better than my ears, beats as you draw near.
True love never forgets, so fill my heart,
Fill my head,
fill my bones,
fill my breath.
let us have a laugh that never forgets.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tim Untethered. I am Tim, and yeah, I'm still very much untethered. And also, welcome to Operation Star Harvest. This was the last adventure that I had with my dear friend Stanley, and something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Now, as many of you might already know, you might have seen some time lapses in previous episodes. And, my favorites have been probably, Kofa Wildlife Refuge, and watching the clouds sort of pour over the horizon, and then the moon setting. I thought that was absolutely gorgeous. And then one of the first times I really got a good shot of the Milky Way, despite the ambient light, just south of Sedona, Arizona. And I think my all-time favorite has to be, again, getting a glimpse of the Milky Way at Grand Staircase Escalante. But I've done several of these. Some are noteworthy and others aren't. It's just sort of like fishing. You throw your pole in the water and you don't know what you're going to get for a while. But like fishing, you generally want to go where the fish are. And unfortunately, I've never been really deliberate in regard to my attempts at star harvesting. So I wanted to change that. Now, in order to do a more sort of deliberate attempt at getting a good Astro time lapse, you really need three things. You need to have a new moon, which is, of course, is part of the lunar cycle. And I don't think what a lot of people realize is that not only do you not see the moon at night, but the reason that you don't see the moon at night is because, there's a moon rise and a moon set, and that largely coincides with sunrise and sunset, which is why you see the moon in the sky during the daytime. And so it's not present at night. And as a result, you have less light and the stars sort of show through better, right? And along the same sort of lines, you also want, as sort of your second factor, you want very little ambient light. So you don't want to see like the glow of a city or factories or anything like that. And that's particularly difficult. There's been very few places where that hasn't been a factor. And then, number three, and maybe this is just more of a preference for me, I like to have a foreground. Now, I can just point this camera at the sky and I can take a time lapse, but I like to see, mountains or a rock or a bush. I even did another one at Kofa where I had a saguaro cactus sort of in the foreground and then the stars pouring over it too. So my mission is to try to satisfy all three of those things. Now, fortunately, we had, I had to get back to the Pacific Northwest. I had a very limited amount of time to do that, but there was a new moon that I could take advantage of en route. And so the trick is, where do I go? And, they had a dark skies event in Death Valley, which would have been great. And that was actually my original plan, but it wasn't really complementary to my route. So I chose a place that I wanted to go anyway that I figured would have little ambient light. And that was Trona, California. So the challenge for me was that I only had 2 attempts to get a time lapse. And the first night was the night that we arrived was just not complimentary at all. We rolled in sort of later during the evening. There was a lot of cloud cover and rain, and that didn't change. Now, fortunately, on day 2, it was much better. The Trona Pinnacles is about 10 miles outside of a small town called Trona, California, and is within the California Desert National Conservation Area. And you get there through a 5-mile BLM washboarded road. It will rattle your fillings out. It also sort of took a toll on my van, too. And that short 5-mile ride took us roughly an hour to get from the main road over to the Trona Pinnacles. So those spires, those pinnacles that you saw, are actually called tufas. Now, those tufas are between 10,000 years old and 100,000 years old, which means that they were created over the last 3 ice ages. Now, they were created at the bottom of what was once a very deep lake, and the calcium-rich groundwater had combined with the alkaline-rich lake water, and that's what's responsible for actually creating those geological formations. So what you're seeing is what was once at the bottom of a very, very deep lake. So while I'm hoping that this particular location proves to be a good location for an Astro time-lapse, probably won't surprise you that it is the perfect film location for a number of sci-fi films. And that includes Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, The Gate to Disney's Dinosaur, Planet of the Apes, and even Lady Gaga's music video, Stupid Love. Well, look, you know that I got something, right? Otherwise, what's the point for the video? But before I show you what I got, you should know that during the drone footage shots that I was getting for this particular video, I crashed and destroyed my drone. I flew it into the side of a tufa. And to make matters worse, I wasn't even recording. So if you want to see the carnage of what's left of my drone, stay tuned until after the Astro time-lapse. So with that said, here we go.
I was waiting in the undertow, set adrift with featherweight light bones, unaware of where my heart would flow. I was waiting in the undertow, can't touch the bottom, sit into a tumble, waves that shake me out of my skin. Never been so easy, losing my direction. My bearings have me south of home.
So there you go. That was what I got. Personally, I think it's one of my favorites, if not my favorite Astro time-lapse so far. I would like to go back to Trona, maybe spend a little bit more time, ideally in the summer months, where I can get a really clear picture of the Milky Way, and spend a few nights to where I can sort of drive around and get different foregrounds. But, yeah, we'll see. But I know why you're watching. You want to see my drone. Here it is. I broke all of the propellers. I don't think there's one intact. The gimbal on the front is tweaked. I don't know if I can fix that. And I don't know if you know anything about drones, but you see that? That ain't right. I know I can buy another one of these arms for about 30 bucks. I'll give it a shot at some point, but quite frankly, this is just too fresh in my mind to even deal with right now. But anyway, look, that's enough for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and that's it. So until next time, be well and be safe. Bye now.